I've trained the Pyra and Mythra amiibo. They're pretty freaky. The amiibo itself is pretty easy to train, but you absolutely have to understand a specific feature of its AI. Now, going forward, I'm assuming that you've already watched our general amiibo training guide, and if not, open a new tab, watch that video first. You'll need the information in that video to understand this one. Like with Pokemon Trainer, Pythra is split into two different characters in-game, but she only has one set of amiibo behavior data. This produces a problem. If there's two different characters, but not enough space on the amiibo chip to contain behavior for two different amiibo, how does the AI work? The amiibo has two different ways of fighting, but it uses the same behavior data. This image pretty well demonstrates it. The Pythra amiibo gets its behavior data from its training, but the game has a different move algorithm according to the character at play. This results in an odd conundrum. If you train Pyra to use a move, Mythra will usually do it too because they read from the same data, but they also each have unique AI quirks that the other one doesn't. Let me give you an example. Mythra has double back air edge guarding built in, the same way that humans use it. Whether you teach her to or not, she'll sometimes use back air to edge guard all the way to the blast zone. The developers didn't put that same AI function in Pyra, so if you train Pyra to use back air, she'll hit with it, she'll use it once, but she won't do it the same way Mythra will. They're both reading from the same data, so they'll both use back air, but Mythra interprets that data differently because of her different AI algorithm. Make sense? Knowing this, let's get to your Pythra amiibo. Now I spent a lot of time charting out the AI paths and labbing this amiibo, so, show some appreciation and subscribe, eh? We've got videos coming for all the upcoming amiibo fighters. I have 3 universal recommendations for Pythra amiibo. Doesn't matter if it's competitive or raid boss, these 3 things absolutely have to be followed. First, don't teach it to switch. Second, forward smash is a must. And third, side special, also a must. Usually, when people think of Pyra and Mythra, they think of switching. Or they think of D. I mentioned before how Pokemon Trainer had multiple AI reading off the same behavior data, just like Pythra. Pokemon Trainer also has a switching mechanic, and its amiibo AI handled that by simply switching randomly, or if it needed to recover with Charizard's third jump and was currently using Ivysaur. Pythra's AI seems to handle switching in a similar manner. While I can't tell for sure if it's random, it certainly doesn't happen often if you don't switch a lot in training. In fact, the only time I could reliably predict that the amiibo would switch was when Pyra was too far out from the stage to recover, but Mythra's recovery would have worked. The amiibo would then switch from Pyra to Mythra and recover. The reason you want to avoid switching is because Pyra is simply the better character of the two. If you scan in the Pyra amiibo and the amiibo doesn't switch often, you have more time on average with one of the best characters in the game. Mythra's not bad, she's got a lot more built-in combos and can hold her own, but Pyra's really where matches are going to be won. When I first started considering Pythra as an amiibo, one thing stood out to me. She was like a mix of Pokemon Trainer and the Belmonts. She was like PT for the reasons we already said, but she was also almost a superior version of the Belmonts. See, in competitive amiibo, the Belmont amiibo actually work best when they don't use any projectiles at all. Amiibo AI doesn't handle projectiles very well, and Belmont's forward tilt is just too useful of a move to not spam. Pythra's the same way. Just like the Belmonts, Pyra has a forward smash that has crazy range, long windup, and can be used for a variety of situations. Also like the Belmonts, Pyra has a forward tilt that works like a miniature version of forward smash. You might be thinking, hey doc, this move isn't nearly as good on Mythra. Why use it? Good question. Mythra actually has built-in follow-ups out of forward tilt, so she's not a lost cause either. And Mythra needs to have KO power as well, so we'll stick with forward smash. Now, I've been predicting amiibo for a long time, and I always end up correct in the long run. In this case, I predicted that Pyra's side special was going to be crazy good in this video from last April. Well, I was right. Blazing End is a multi-hit projectile. If you know your amiibo history, you know that multi-hit projectiles have a divisive impact on the meta, we'll say. In this case, while Blazing End is probably not going to KO anyone due to its terrible launch angle, it's the perfect move for regaining control of the stage and putting the amiibo opponent in a disadvantaged state. The disadvantage state is huge for Amiibo. If your Amiibo can prevent opponents from coming back to the stage, it can score an easy KO. This move makes that a piece of cake for Pyra. Oddly enough, Mythra doesn't seem to use her side special at all. My Pyra uses Blazing End a lot. Mythra has never ever used her equivalent. Instead, when she's in range of her side special, she'll opt for neutral special, which I also taught them. This is pretty unheard of in Amiibo. The developers have gone out of their way over the years to make sure that Amiibo that couldn't use moves got AI patches allowing them to do so. Ultimately, this means you can train your Pythra to use side special, and there's no downside, because you don't have to worry about how Mythra will use it, so long as the AI doesn't get patched when the figures actually release. It's happened before, but only once. That's the big picture of Pyra and Mythra Amiibo. If you'd like to learn about a lot of the smaller aspects of the AI that I've discovered, such as the Mythra-specific combos in the AI, and how the Amiibo responds to shield breaks, I've got a companion post for you at AmiiboDoctor.com. Just check the description.